What is going on, guys? MMA Island team, we got the fight picks, and we are back with UFC 254. Nurmagomedov taking on Gaethje. Man, what a banger of a fight, but it's not the main event because we got a very, very interesting matchup, to say the least, in Stefan the Skyscraper Struve taking on Tai Tuivasa. Man, Tai Tuivasa actually got cut from the UFC. And
No, it was a joke. It was a joke.
It was a joke?
Yeah, he was kidding.
What?
Yeah, when he said he was released, his manager was like, yeah, he's joking. He didn't actually get cut.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
This dude's fooling me on Headline Island. I guess I do post rumors because that's my quote. I say I don't post rumors, but hey, I guess I do that. That's crazy. What? He was joking?
Yeah, he was kidding.
Okay, well, coming off of a 3-fight losing streak, it's not that crazy of a deal to get released by the UFC. But hey, he didn't get released, so he's faking on Stefan Struve. I was gonna say it was kind of crazy time, so I guess it would make sense for them to cut him and then bring him back. But Stefan Struve, out of retirement, he took on Ben Rothwell and then lost via TKO. And I guess
I'm gonna go in on that fight. I'm gonna go in on that later. Don't worry.
He lost via nut shot. Over and over and over again.
3 times.
Hilarious.
God.
Terrible, I guess, if you're Stefan Struve, but hilarious.
Was it 2 or 3 times? I believe it was twice.
I think it was 3.
Oh, no, it was 3. It was 3.
So talking about this fight, man, as I mentioned, very, very interesting. There is a few factors that I'm going to be talking about here. So Tai Tuivasa, we know how Tai Tuivasa typically wins his fights, comes via KO. Man, so interesting. I'm upset I'm going first. But Stefan Struve, we know what he wants to do here. We've seen him, and I think what? So he's got so 2 of his last wins come via his last 2 wins come via submission. Primarily, he wins via decision. 18 of his 29 at 62%. And then you look at KOs. 89% of his wins come via KO for Tai Tuivasa. Can he go out there and can he get a knockout win over Stefan Struve? I'm going to say that I think he probably can. So there are a couple of reasons why. First of all, I think this is going to be a factor when you talk about Stefan Struve anytime Stefan Struve fights, because this dude is 7 feet tall. Crazy. It's crazy. I can remember in the Ben Rothwell Stefan Struve fight, Stefan Struve, when he's pushed up against the cage, he can just like kind of push his head back and he's out of the cage. And the referee, hey, keep your head in the cage, dude. So it's funny. But talking about Stefan Struve, I don't know, man. I think that looking at the fight with Ben Rothwell, I think Stefan Struve kind of looked out of his game. Ben Rothwell obviously being pretty high ranked in the UFC heavyweight division. Obviously, he's got losing. Well, now he's lost against Marcin Tybura, getting wins against Ovince St. Preux. Ovince St. Preux should have never fucking touched heavyweight. I don't know why he did, but he did. And then Stefan Struve knocking out him. But before that, a loss to Andrei Arlovsky, a loss to Blagoy Ivanov, a loss to JDS. It's just like looking at those guys, getting those losing streaks. 2 out of his Ben Rothwell's last 6 fights come by he has a win in 2 of his last 6 UFC fights, and kind of both of them aren't in the most amazing fashion. So Ben Rothwell knocking out Stefan Struve, I don't really put too much stock into Ben Rothwell at that point, and I just kind of say Stefan Struve typically loses via KO. 8 of his 12 losses come via knockout. So I don't know, man. I think Tuivasa going up against Sergey Spivak kind of got taken down, and obviously it ended up in an arm triangle choke. But just his takedown game, I can remember, just looked absolutely horrid in that fight. Mm-hmm. Sergey Spivak, I think, is one of the underrated fighters in the heavyweight division. Shout out Carlos Felipe.
No, don't shout out Carlos Felipe.
But Tuivasa's takedown defense looked absolutely horrid in that fight. And I think, in a way, you kind of get a little bit of takedown difference, I will put it, when you're fighting a guy who's 7 feet tall compared to a guy in Sergey Spivak, who is 6'3", and is probably weighs a little bit more than Struve at some points. But point is Sergey Spivak is a bigger, broader guy, and he's kind of got the strength, whereas in Stefan Struve, I think, has more of the technicality when it comes to takedowns. He's got more of the he can use his height to his advantage in a lot of ways, more than people can, because he's so much taller than most people. I guess I say most people, probably all.
Yes.
But That's the thing, man. I just see the ways that you go in for takedowns is so much different compared from Stefan Struve to Sergey Spivak. So hopefully his takedown defense has gotten a little bit better. Blagoy Ivanov is one of the greatest chins in the world. Like that dude, I don't think you can knock that dude out. I really don't.
You can't even stab him to the heart.
Blagoy Ivanov, this dude was attacked by 4 people, got stabbed in the heart, and went and beat all of them up. Went in a coma. And then survived and came back and fought in the UFC and got wins. I don't know, man. Blagoy Ivanov is one of the greatest. Like, I don't even care. He's only 18-4, but man, one of the greatest MMA people I love to watch. But shout out to him. Definitely shout out to him. But got one of the greatest chins. So Tai Tuivasa not getting a knockout win over Blagoy Ivanov. I don't put too much stock into that either. And then going before that, JDS lost via knockout from JDS. JDS is obviously one of the greatest strikers in the UFC heavyweight division, I think, of all time, in my opinion. Obviously, He's got a pretty good knockout loss streak at the moment, but knocking out guys like Derek Lewis, obviously that was like knocking out Mark Hunt, Frank Mir, Cain Velasquez, Gabriel Gonzaga, Mirko Cro Cop, like Stefan Struve, Fabricio Verdum, Junior Zingano dos Santos can knock out folks. So again, him knocking out Tai Tuivasa, don't put too much stock into that either. Stefan Struve getting knocked out by Ben Rothwell, I think that's a bigger loss to point out compared to Tai Tuivasa's last 3. So definitely going to be leaving with Tai Tuivasa here. I think a knockout win for Tuivasa is pretty likely. I think the only way that doesn't happen is if Tai Tuivasa doesn't put too much power into his strikes and kind of just pieces him up to a decision, or Stefan Struve could get a submission victory. But as I mentioned, I see Tai Tuivasa's takedown defense being a little bit better. Just to look at where the takedown defense is at, it's at 42%. He got taken out 6 times in the Sergey Spivak fight. At 75% takedown accuracy for Spivak. So, as I mentioned, just think a knockout win for Tuivasa is pretty likely. I want to see Stefan Struve go out on a win for sure. So, hey, maybe he gets like an upper ranked opponent or something. Give Stefan Struve Carlos Felipe. How about that?
Oh, yes, please.
Something like that. Because, man, I've never wanted a fight to fall out before, but Felipe and who is it? Justin Tafa? How does that make sense? How does that make sense?
It doesn't matter.
I will pass it on to Zach.
Well, I've been wanting to go in on the Rothwell versus Struve fight for the longest time and why I no longer trust Dan Mergliotta's reffing credentials. So when you said that Struve did not look great in that fight, I disagree. Struve was doing awesome in that fight. He looked better than he has in years. And then the first nut shot hit. And getting hit in the balls by Ben Rothwell is a fate worse than death, because you actually survive and the pain lasts longer. You don't get a break. And it was hilarious. Every time he was standing up, the crowd would cheer. And then every time he would sit down, the crowd would boo again. It was great. And he recovered and he's going back and he's doing great. And then guess what? It happens again. Now, Dan Mergliotta, he gets down on one knee and he says, Stefan, listen, you're winning the fight. You can call this fight off now. It can be a no contest, but you're winning this. You can go out and you can win this fight. This is a referee, not a coach. This is a referee telling a fighter to go out and fight. And what happens? He gets knocked out. And I was so angry, not just because I picked Struve, but because it was a blatant misuse of refereeing power. And I've never trusted him in a referee spot ever again, because it is just disgusting what he did there. And I'm still not over it. As you can tell, I am still not over it. Anyways, let's get into this one. So again, like I was saying before he got knocked out by Ben Rothwell, he was looking good. He did the one thing that for some reason Stefan Struve never did in his entire career, and that was use his reach. Stefan Struve has an 84-inch reach, which is a gift from God when it comes to MMA, and he would never use it. He would never pump out the jab. He would never use the leg kicks. And it's like, why? Why would you? And he was starting to do it against Ben Rothwell. And if Stefan Struve could figure out how to use his range, he is one of the most unstoppable fighters in the UFC, just because he is so long and so tall. It's really hard to reach this guy's chin, actually. And for Struve, who is 9 inches taller than Tuivasa, makes me wonder if his arms can reach up there. But anyways, yeah, Tuivasa is really going to want to come in and blitz, because he can't play the range game with Struve. In the past, maybe he could. But now that he's learning, now that Struve is finally learning to do it, he can't do that anymore. So he has to win this fight on the inside. And Stefan Struve's submission game is highly, highly underrated. He has some very solid subs on his record. You know, he has an arm triangle, he has Darce chokes, and he has a triangle and RNCs on his record just in the UFC. That is a very good range of submissions. And if you see a lot of range in the amount of submissions that they're using, that means they're relatively good. They're actually very good jiu-jitsu practitioners. And Struve is up there with one of the most talented submission artists in UFC history, heavyweight history. Make sure heavyweight history, maybe behind Frank Mir and the Nogueiras. But anyways, I think that if this fight goes to the ground, Tai Tuivasa is useless. We know that off of his back, he can do nothing. And Struve can easily get a submission from top position. He's not going to be on his back unless Tuivasa drops him. But if he's able to recover and Tuivasa's in top pressure, he can submit him. And I think that Tuivasa's one chance is getting inside and knocking him out. While that is possible, it's very possible. We know Struve's chin isn't the best. Watch the Marcus Rogerio de Lima fight. De Lima dropped him within the first couple seconds. I can see something like that happening, but I'm going to go ahead and pick Struve. I finally made my mind up. I didn't have my mind up when we started recording, but I do now. I'm picking Stefan Struve to win, either by decision or by submission.
Well, I didn't put a good enough case to prove Zach, but hey, let me know if we proved it to you guys. So make sure you guys, point is, let us know who you guys got in the comments. We got a disagreement. You guys break the tie, as always. So point is, man, UFC 254, it's stacked. Make sure you guys are checking out every single fight pick video we got. You got to like the channel, subscribe to the channel, rather, like the video, and check out the other fight pick videos.